Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, that Mark Trestman's play calling this year has not been that great.
No.
Some of calling run plays when they should pass plays when they should run, and then saying, "Oh yeah, I called for 6 run plays." The first half is when you're supposed to run the ball the most to establish it, and then the second half when you need to pass, you pass, and then when you get the lead is when you start to run again.
I just keep going back. They should not have had 0 points in the first half.
Oh, no, that was embarrassing.
I mean, that is unacceptable no matter who you're playing.
Yeah, exactly.
If you're playing the Patriots, which the Bears are next week, I mean, I would expect at least a field goal in the first half. Something where you can get past the 40-yard line so Robbie Gould can kick a field goal.
I think that they were going to kick a field goal on that drive that Cutler threw the pick. I think they were in field goal range when he threw it.
They were in field goal range a couple times, and they just screwed up.
Yeah, they did. I believe they were in field. It would have been like a 50-yard field goal, except Robbie Gould he's automatic.
Mm-hmm. And he's really good at home. He's better at home than he is on the road, too.
Which is kind of weird. Because he's kicking in the Chicago winds.
The wind patterns.
What I hate is when Cowboy fans say Dan Bailey is better than Robbie Gould because
he's
his
kicking
accuracy.
Indoors.
He's kicking indoors a minimum of 8 games a year. Robbie Gould is kicking in Chicago winds 8 games a year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know Dan Bailey.
How many games has he won us? He won us that playoff game against Seattle in 2007 and the playoffs it was 2006 season. But, yeah, in early 07 in the divisional round, he hit that field goal with no time left.
Yes, there was a game that I was at against the Carolina Panthers. I'll talk about this a little more later in the show.
And then we'll also preview the Bears and Patriots game.
And then we'll make our NFL picks for the week.
Sure.
I was at a game against the Carolina Panthers with the Bears called a timeout with 2. They were down by 2 points, and they got the ball to start around the 15-yard line, and there was 2.5 minutes, maybe just over 2 minutes left. Cutler drove down the field and got him in position to kick a 40-yard field goal to win the game.
Mm-hmm.
I think it ended up being a 42-yarder against the Panthers. Gould kicked it right down the middle, and the wind was blowing really hard, left and right.
Right, and that takes
He kicked it right down the middle. Right down the middle from 42 yards out to beat the Panthers, and they won 23-22.
I think I remember that game.
Yeah,
it was a few years ago, right?
Yeah, it was. It was the year they started out 7-1. It was Lovie Smith's last season.
Oh, yes, I love that.
Yes,
year.
it was that. Cutler just kept hitting Marshall on that final drive. I mean, the offense looked good on that drive. Except the funny thing is, in the first half of that game, they were down 13-7, and even though they had 7 points, the offense looked worse than it did against the Dolphins. And the fans were booing at halftime.
Yeah.
And Jay Cutler told the Bears in the locker room, "We put up a boo-worthy performance."
Yeah, and
that was one thing. I thought.
Where was that last week?
Where I thought that he may have been turning the corner as a leader when you hear him say, "We put up a boo-worthy performance," and then last week, 0 points at halftime, just 50 yards of offense, and Kyle Long calls it unacceptable that fans were booing at halftime.
It's unacceptable that his offensive line. That him and the rest of his offensive line weren't protecting Cutler enough.
I mean, Kyle Long has actually been their best lineman.
Oh, yeah.
He's great, except you can't blame the fans who are spending their hard-earned money and spending a whole day at the Bears game, spending a lot of money on going to a Bears game.
Right, and this is the Chicago Bears. This is the charter franchise of the NFL. I mean,
it's not like you're paying $60 a ticket to go see the Raiders or the Jaguars. No, you're paying a minimum of $200 a ticket.
Kyle Long's the same guy that probably thinks that this is a baseball town. It's not. It's a football town first.
It really is.
More than anything. It's a Bears town.
It is. And one thing that really annoys me is that it is a football town, and yet the state, they don't really have a good stadium. That's what makes stadiums are what's making a lot of teams good, where they're making teams like Seattle good, where keeping the sound in,
Seattle,
or Arrowhead Stadium, or Dallas. They play in a dome with 90,000 seats.
Mm-hmm. Even Atlanta historically is a pretty good home team,
right?
Because of the dome. Yeah.
St. Louis, not St. Louis. St. Louis, I think, might play in a dome too.
St. Louis plays in a dome, but that doesn't help them.
Yeah, that doesn't. No, it doesn't. The Saints do, and that helps them a lot.
Yeah.
Where the Bears are outside with 62,000 seats, which is the smallest stadium in the NFL.
Yep.
And you probably have about 10,000 people in suites.
Right. So
they keep the windows closed, so their noise isn't being heard.
Plus, you got the whole parking situation,
right?
Which sucks. But I mean, I understand that because you're right on the lake. It's kind of hard to get to.
It's in a terrible location to begin with. You have no seats. You have no noise. Where Seattle, even though they're an outdoor stadium, they have a way to keep the noise in by making it sort of a dome by having the roof go over the stadium, like over the field, somewhat over the field to help keep the noise. And where the Bears is just like a bull. Like it literally is. Looks like it has no intention of any way trying to keep the noise in, and that's what hurts because the noise can help get false start penalties on the opposing team, or even penalties for encroachment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure.
Which, I mean, the McCaskies don't care because they're making so much money off of these suites. And I've said this multiple times, like, it hurts the team that they don't get, like, a big... Because the crowd can only get so loud with that few seats.
Right.
So, I mean, it's really annoying. Welcome back to the Sports Renegades here on SportsTownChicago.com, broadcasting 6 to 8 p.m. tonight. Ryan Risky along with Ryan Stuprich. We are the Sports Renegades tonight. Ryan Hoppy will be joining us later.
Yep.
And we have been talking about the Bears as we usually do for for a minimum of 1 hour on our show. And as we're going back to your point, Ryan, where Chicago is a football town where the Bears are Chicago's team.
Right. So, that I don't know if Kyle Long really gets that. I mean, this is only his second year here. Maybe he doesn't realize that.
I mean, when you had the Blackhawks there.
Yeah, I mean,
they might.
The Hawks are hot. The Bulls are really good, but this will always be a football town.
When was the last time that the Bears were consistently good?
Well, not since the mid '80s.
Yeah, I mean, they had the one surprising season in the early 2000s. They went 13-3.
Yeah, and then they were good in 06 when they went to the Super Bowl. But besides
that,
it was
06
just,
they went 13-3.
1984 to 1988 that they were pretty good.
On a consistent basis where once they traded for Cutler, they had one really good year when they went 11-5.
Yeah.
And then the next year, they were 7-3 when Cutler broke his hand and then missed the rest of the season.
That was against the Chargers at home, right?
I was at that game, yeah. I was at the game. So, and the thing is, no one really knew something was wrong with Cutler until a couple hours after the game when there was just a report that said he broke his hand.
Right.
And
yes, I remember that because I was like, oh, well, he'll be okay. Yeah, and then I find out later, he's out for forever.
I was worried about that play because I don't like watching the quarterback chase down a guy. And the thing is, it wasn't even Cutler's fault for that interception. It was Johnny Knox fell down on a route, and then it went right to a quarterback.
There's a lot of things that were Johnny Knox's fault.
Yeah, so, and then the funny thing is, I was at that, and then the next year, when I was at that Panthers game, the Bears went for a 2-point conversion. And the refs completely missed a pass interference penalty. A guy threw Marshall to the ground, and then it was intercepted. The guy starts sprinting towards the end zone. He was the defensive back was a rookie.
Wow.
Starts running to the end zone. Jay Cutler chased him down. I'm like, no, it's a dead ball. Don't break your hand again.
Yeah.
And he ended up shoving him out of bounds, and it ended up being a dead ball because you can't return that in the NFL.
Right.
Which the refs did miss a big penalty on that.
Yes, they did.
So, I mean, obviously that was pretty bad. So, I mean, they really... They haven't been like they haven't been good, and then you expected them to be good the next year. That's the thing, that really hasn't happened. I mean, a lot of that can be attributed to Jerry Angelo's great drafts as general manager.
Phil Emery keeps starting Shea McClellan because that's his guy. That's the first Bear he ever drafted, so he's all excited about him. Shea McClellan sucks. He's bad at his job. When you're bad at your job, what do? You get replaced eventually. So...
Yeah, I mean, I think
he needs
maybe
to be replaced.
I think maybe after this season, give him another year just because he's learning the linebacker.
Well, that's the thing. That's what they were saying last year. Oh, try to give him another year. Well, so far he hasn't done anything.
Well, that was a defensive. He's shown some. He's been a little kind of decent as a line. I say give him another year as a linebacker because he was a defensive end before that. He was a terrible defensive lineman.
Oh yeah,
he was terrible. He was slow. He wasn't strong enough. I mean I thought he was going to... So I think maybe it might take him a year to get used to the linebacker position.
That's the thing about the Bears' defense. They'll have, one or two guys step up every week. The problem is they're different guys every week. You need to have consistent people. Where's Jared Allen? He had one good game in Atlanta. He hasn't done anything since then. That's a Pro Bowl defender. A Pro Bowler, one of the best defenders in the NFL. He's a veteran guy. He comes in here. He hasn't done anything.
No, he hasn't. I think he has 1.5 sacks.
Yeah, I mean that's unacceptable.
That is unacceptable. And you're making
as Brandon Marshall would say. It's
unacceptable. Brandon Marshall would say, yeah, that's unacceptable.
It's unacceptable. It's unacceptable. It's unacceptable.
What, did he say that 17 times?
Oh, it reminded me of the Allen Iverson practice thing from the early 2000s when he was. We're talking about practice, not the game, practice.
Yeah,
that's what it reminded me of.
Or Bill Belichick saying, "We're getting ready."
Yeah.
For the Bills.
Oh my god.
We're getting ready for the Bill, or we're getting ready for Cincinnati. We're getting ready for Cincinnati.
It's got to be impossible to find a soundbite of Bill Belichick.
You don't ever hear soundbites.
Good soundbite.
You can't ever find good soundbites for like funny ones, like how you had them for Ditka back when he was the head coach. You can always get great soundbites from him. So I mean you can always get great. You don't really see fiery coaches anymore.
No, not at all.
Which is kind of disappointing. I mean, sometimes you can get something good out of Rex Ryan because he acts like an idiot sometimes, like a major one.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he'll probably be one of the many coaches that gets fired this year.
I like him more fat. I don't know. Like, he doesn't look like Rex Ryan.
No, he doesn't look like... No, he doesn't.
Like, every time I think of Rex Ryan, I think of some 300-pound coach who yells and screams and loses in AFC championships. But that's not the case now.
I love when they beat the Patriots in the divisional round.
Right.
When Sean Green scored a touchdown, he got a penalty for running into the end zone.
That's right, yeah.
Boy, the good old Rex. You see, and then you hear the announcer saying, "What's Rex doing over there?"
Oh, my gosh.
All right. Anyways, we're going to make our picks for the week in the next segment. We're going to head to commercial real quick. We'll be right back. Don't touch that dial. You're listening to the Sports Renegades on SportsTownChicago.com.